And good afternoon, everybody. And yay, 1 minute past 12, and we are live and everything is back up and running, thankfully. So it's Thursday and it is our usual Well Expo interview. And today we chat all things PR with Tara Gillece from Gillece Communications. Tara, you are very welcome.
Thanks, Barbara. Thanks for having me. Delighted to be here.
No, not at all, not at all. PR is one of those things, kind of people go, well, what exactly is it? You know, because I think a lot of us associated with, you know, the rich and famous and the politicians and all that kind of thing, and they're only using it maybe for negative stuff or whatever, but PR is actually very positive for the small business. So what exactly is it and how can they, you know, dip their fingers into it?
I suppose the easiest way to describe PR, and the way I like to describe it, because it's kind of a ladybird way of describing it, is PR. Advertising is you saying nice things about yourself, whereas PR is other people saying nice things about you. And
right, actually, that's really good.
Yeah, I mean, in advertising, you're paying, so basically that's why the message is always your message and what you want to put across. In PR, it is you telling a journalist your story, them interpreting it, and then writing up your story, which can be positive or negative, but 9 times out of 10 it is positive. So
they're not actually looking for the negative.
They're not looking for the negative unless you're Donald Trump or Boris Johnson or someone like that. If you're a small business, they want to help you, and they want to help you get your story out there. So, but it's about packaging it correctly.
Ah, good stuff, good stuff. So we had a speaker on Tuesday, and like that, I wanted to purposely link both of you because he had been talking about crafting your story. So when the small business, or like somebody like me, we're kind of sitting there putting our story together, is it that we do so much and then you kind of say, yeah, we'll use this bit or not use this bit then, or we'll work it around? Do you know,
yeah,
paragraphs?
I think a lot of the time when people are talking about themselves or their business or their brand, they're too close to it. They can't see the wood for the trees. Yeah. So I think getting an expert or somebody, you know, independent, impartial, it really helps, because someone like me can just kind of delve a bit deeper and, you know, talk to you about your story, your business, your backstory, and try and pull out the salient points and I suppose, your unique selling point as well.
Yeah, so you actually have to know kind of why you started, where you're coming from, and it's that why back at the beginning is probably the most important part.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, a lot of my clients are small businesses, and you know, most of them are very, very passionate about what they do. I mean, if you weren't, you wouldn't get into business. What's the point? But because of that, they can't see the bigger picture. So they just think, well, why isn't everyone writing about me? I mean, my story is brilliant. And yes, you should feel that because it's your business, but you need to remember that there are thousands of businesses out there looking for a bit of publicity as well. So it's about finding that unique selling point and, you know, as I said, packaging it correctly, writing a strong press release, getting something out that's a little bit different, and, you know, approaching the right media.
So the press release, so somebody like me sitting at home going, you know, okay, I think I let all the local radio stations know about me.
Yeah.
What do I do? What is my first step? Do you know what I mean? How do I go about it?
Well, I suppose, yeah, just writing up a press release is the way I suppose it's the way it's traditionally been done. I mean, there are other ways now, obviously, with social media, like tweeting the radio station, just following them, sending messages on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. But that can be lost at times unless you're lucky. But having said that, obviously Twitter is a great way to contact journalists. But yeah, it's about writing a strong press release. The first paragraph should always be the where, why, what. If, you know, we learned that in school in English anyway. Everything should be front loaded. So all the salient, the most important points are in the first paragraph, and then you go down further, just describe a bit more what you're looking for, what your story is, what your brand is.
Yeah, I remember being told years ago by somebody that if you think of your story as a triangle, that
Yeah,
if an editor had to get a scissors and cut off the
yeah,
bottom bit, what
yeah,
bit was
absolutely. That
going to
you
be missing?
you've hit the nail on the head. They don't have time to wade through, reams and reams of information. So they just want it to grab them straight away, whether it be the headline, which is, I feel, hugely important, the title in the email, or just the first paragraph. If they're not grabbed, if they're not sucked into your story within the first paragraph, forget about it. And if there's a
And
typo or a grammatical mistake or a spelling error, forget about it as well. So it's hugely important that you watch out for all of that.
yeah, and just as you mentioned, like typos and spelling errors and that, it wasn't you, I remember you saying one time, was it your father was in the business and he would,
He's a journalist, and he just, yeah, no, my childhood, I grew up with having to put a long word into a sentence and word of the day and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, he met my English teacher years ago, and my English teacher said, "Oh, she's great creativity," and he said, "I don't care about that. What's her grammar and spelling like? Because that's what's going to be important in life." And yeah, but it is hugely important because it's I mean, we're all human. I do it myself. I mean, nobody gets away with never having spelling or grammatical errors, but it's just be really careful, because it's the first thing an editor will spot, and my dad would just straight away into the trash bin when he saw a typo in the press release. So
and they would have been the days of when the actual printing press, they would be standing in maybe the evening press down
yeah,
there in Dublin, down at the where my own dad
exactly.
actually used to work
Yeah,
as well.
all right.
And I used to see them and they set out all the type letters, to get it
Yeah,
off. So you couldn't afford to have the
no, you
errors,
couldn't
as you
afford
say.
to have it.
Yeah.
Wasn't computerized. You couldn't go back and change it. But yeah, I mean, if you're not good at that kind of thing, and you know what, just before I came on air, I was proofreading a yearbook for my son with another mum, and because you're so close to it, sometimes you don't see it. And I woke up this morning going, one of the child's names is spelled incorrectly. So it's really, we changed it before it went to print, but it's just really important. If you don't see that stuff, just to get somebody, your husband, your partner, whatever, to check it. Just, sometimes it'll jump out at somebody, it won't at you.
So that's one of the key do's and don'ts, which is your spelling and grammar. Is there
Yeah.
another one that you would say in that?
Yeah, don't be too salesy. Don't be sell, sell, sell. Yes, as I said, you're very passionate about your product, your business, but what's the story here? I mean, the journalist is not looking to write about your product unless they're doing a specific story about beauty creams and you happen to have a beauty business, or unless they're talking about cars and you happen to have a car company. It's about the story, it's about the person, it's about why did you get into the business, how many employees do you have, what's your turnover. If it's a business story, that's hugely important. I have clients coming to me all the time saying, I want to be on the business pages, and I say, great, what's your turnover, your projected turnover, or how many are you employing, and what's your forecast for the next 5 years? Oh, I couldn't be telling you that, that's too personal. And there, well then, that's, forget about it then. The business journalist wants to know that information.
Yeah, they need
They're
the
not
fact.
prepared to give
They're
that.
looking for facts and figures.
Exactly. Yeah. And media love facts, figures, and statistics. Absolutely adore them. So, they want, you don't have to be perfect. Like, as I said to clients, they don't need to know your exact turnover. They're not going to ring your accountant and find out. But, you need to get projected figures. You need to, there has to be some substance to it.
And that's kind of because one of the things that I often see, and you'd see it online, I'm PR and marketing and I'm going, no, I think there's a difference between the two.
Yeah. Yeah, advertising, as I say, is, you pay for an ad or you run an ad on the radio. Marketing is the whole thing, is everything together. It's kind of building a brand. Like PR is part of the marketing mix, but marketing would be more about building your brand and, making sure all your ducks in a row. You have your logos are correct, your website is correct, everything is all kind of looking right, and you've got the right messages, and you're projecting your business or your brand in the right way. Whereas PR is basically getting it out there, getting the message out there to the wider public, to the via the media.
Yeah, and when you think of it, I know like we say PR, like it stands for public relations, but actually then to separate it from marketing, you could nearly call it personal relations, because it's more to, it's the person behind then that marketing mix that you're talking about. So you could nearly think of it like that. It might even make it easier for someone in a small business think, well, hang on, it's like, okay, it's public relations, but it's public about the person behind.
Absolutely. I mean, it is about the person. I mean, I always say, look, if you have a company and you're struggling to get PR, I mean, look at your backstory. I mean, maybe you won 10 All Ireland Irish dancing medals and then suddenly decided to do something completely different. There's always a story. I mean, in Win, you have the likes of Kathy Donaghy and you have some of the ladies whose names escape me at the moment, but they're journalists and they're always looking for a story. So they might be writing, I mean, in the middle of the pandemic about people living on their own or people doing good deeds, and they'll mention your business in that because they're interested in the person and the story.
Yeah. Now there was something else here. Oh my, look, now there's something that happens live online is when I absolutely forget to turn off my phone and it pings through. It pings through the interview. So I'm going to power that off because yeah, there's my techie glitch for today, folks. As always, there has to be one thrown in there somewhere. But one of the things now that it's something I do a lot of for others is create images, you know, and they would send me and stuff to create images for them. And so images now, what is any rules around?
Oh God, yeah, no, I could write a book about images.
Off you go.
They're vitally important, and I literally cannot emphasize that enough. It's really important that you get professional shots done. I mean, 9 times out of 10, the iPhone photograph will not cut it. Invest in a professional photographer, get your head and shoulder shots done for yourself, for your business, for your website, for Facebook profile, for everything. Also, if you have a brand, get professional photography done with your photographs. I mean, people just think, oh, I'll take a photograph of my skin cream on my kitchen table. No, I mean, there's shadowing, there's, you know, if it's not done properly, professionally, on a clean background, the newspapers and magazines will not publish it. They're not interested. I had a client recently who which can't get professional photography at the moment, but look, it took about 3 or 4 attempts to get the right photograph into an editor who was looking for a photograph. They want to run the story. They're saying that the photographs are not working for me. So it took a while, but anyway, we got there. So yeah, it's vitally important. I know it's probably, we can't go out and get a photographer at the moment, but I mean, when when the dust settles, if you're thinking about getting out there, do it professionally. Put the money into it. It's so worth it, because all magazines, they build their pages on photographs, on images. And if your photographs are not of a high quality, high resolution, it's just not gonna happen for you. It really won't.
Because the pixelation then and the density of the image, it really starts to show then, you know. I have to say, yes, it can be expensive. Some, you know, depending on the photographer, because obviously they all range in price, but I know myself from work I did previously in the music area that I worked in, that I did invest in professional images of the instruments, you know, I emptied my boot into her studio of the instruments and the various instruments I used, and I got the most amazing photographs back that I would actually still use to this day. You know, so I've got 4 years on, 3-4 years on, and every time I look at them, I go, yeah, absolutely. And like that, even going for getting your logo done or your brand done, which, you know, I have mine stuck here behind me on the virtual background. It really does make a difference, I found, for myself.
Absolutely. And just using photographs that you use online, it's totally different. I mean, you can use low resolution images online, and people don't really, it doesn't matter as much, but it is hugely important. I would just really urge people just to take that very seriously.
So tips then, if you were to give, say, 4 or 5 tips now in a step process for the businesses now looking at this saying, okay, well, you know, some obviously are going to be coming out of lockdown now on Monday.
Yeah.
Others say, like a hair salon, it's not, and hair salons are actually vitally important at the moment, which is why I am thinking of it here.
Yeah.
They have to wait until July sometime. So
Yeah.
between now and July, for businesses like that, what kind of things should they now be starting maybe to put into place, if they can, to make sure that they're ready for, you know, that they have their PR set up?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, apart from contacting somebody like you,
Yeah.
but themselves,
Yeah.
be ready for that.
Be ready for that. I mean, I've seen a lot of businesses, beauticians and hairdressers online. They're keeping in touch with their customers. They're constantly touching base, saying, how are you doing? We really miss you. Things like, I don't know, mixing up their favorite hair color, and or, you know, giving a YouTube instruction video to customers and sending it out, making sure media know about that, maybe tweet them saying, you know, you don't have to say, aren't I great? But it's all about adding value. What can you do to add value to your customers? And then the media will go, oh, right, well, these people are actually, you know, really serious about looking after their customers, even though we're all in a really, really difficult situation. And if you look at the papers for the last few weeks, a lot of the stories are about what people are doing for other people, including businesses. The businesses who have gone the extra mile are getting the story out there, because at the moment the papers are only interested in COVID. I mean, let's be honest about it. And if you are doing something to help someone else get through this situation a little bit easier, you're one step ahead of everyone else.
Right. I know I started this just for a bit of fun. I remember the first one, when I started this, it was kind of, okay, I knew there were loads of other small businesses like me out there, you know, solopreneurs who are kind of going, what am I going to do? And I see we have questions coming in too, Tara, for you, which is brilliant. But I remember thinking, what am I going to do? And then I kind of went, well, hang on. I actually know a lot of people who deliver services to businesses like me.
Yeah.
So why not just use the platform,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
well, and just let people know. So, and that was actually the whole reason I started this. Plus, it actually took me out of that lockdown mode, and, you know, just gave me something. I said, well, I know on a Tuesday and a Thursday, I'm going to be having a chat with somebody somewhere about something, you know, and that was the reason that I did this. But, and that was the only reason, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think I'm just fascinated with the amount of people getting out there and adding value and helping people for free. And then businesses who have literally set up and completely reinvented themselves. I mean, I read 2 stories recently. One is an events company, I think, and they literally, there's no events happening. So they were about to go under or whatever. So they had a load of wood for different stages they were going to build. And they decided, okay, what do people need at the moment? They need desks. They're working from home. So they came up with a model of a desk that literally is one that you can put away really easily at the end of the day, but looks really, really sturdy. And I think it's €149. You contact them, they deliver it and set it up in your home office the next day.
Brilliant.
They are making a fortune.
Yeah, brilliant.
They don't want to be working from their kitchen table because the kids are running around. So they want to.
Yeah, I'll have to say, thankfully, I am past that homeschooling stage, unlike yourself, I know. But Esther, questions in the background. What have we got?
Yes, we have a question from Mary Cara. Can you overkill?
In terms of contacting media, I assume Mary means, yes, you can. I think these guys, you have to remember, are inundated. They're absolutely inundated. They get most editors would get between 200 and 500 emails a day. So they are, you know, bombarded from all kinds of PR agencies and companies. So yeah, I would say if you contact a media person, if you've named an editor and you're contacting them, and, you know, just say hi, just write a nice little note, then I would always put the press release in the body of the email, because they're so lazy they won't even click on the attachment. So send it off. If you hear nothing back, that's not unusual. Maybe in a few days or maybe a week later, say, hi, how are you? Just, I know you're really, really busy. Just checking if you saw the email I sent you. Maybe every few days, but I definitely wouldn't bombard them, because then they go, oh, sheepers, there's your woman again. Like, what does she want? So it's all about, just think about what you would want yourself. If you are trying to get through a day's work and you have somebody bombarding you, not a good idea. But
And
it is
actually,
good to keep in touch,
that,
because a lot of the time because they get so much mail, they might miss it.
that was something interesting you just said there, actually, is putting the message in the body of the email, because they won't open the attachment.
9 times out of 10 they won't. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And any more there, Esther? How are we doing?
Yeah. Well, Mary says yes, that was in that context. And there's another one here. Are there any papers that you wouldn't recommend talking to?
No, I mean, I know people, the tabloids get a bad press. I know that, but at the end of the day, they're not out to get you unless you're a government minister caught with your pants down or something. I mean, they're going to help you if you're a small business as well. So I don't see any problems with it. It's just the way you would kind of approach them, and the press release would be slightly different to a broadsheet. You wouldn't, they write in a totally different way. So I would just kind of dumb it down a little bit, for want of a better word. But yeah, no, I wouldn't avoid anyone. I mean, there's only one publication that I avoid completely, and that's, I think it's called The Liberal, the guy with the mad religious guy who I don't know, would be fans of Gemma O'Doherty and John Waters. But other than that, no, I wouldn't avoid anyone really.
Great stuff. There was one thing there, actually, I just thought of, as somebody was saying, avoid a publication. I wonder, are there publications that just myself, not so much you, but myself, I kind of think, gosh, would it actually sit well in such, in such a publication? Because maybe they do actually have a section that covers your business, but you're not aware of it. So, and maybe going online for some small business, they might actually even find a different, they automatically think of the big, say the big women's magazines, right?
Yeah.
Or the big mainstream papers. But actually there are so many smaller
papers. Yeah. No, totally agree. And people, they tend to kind of want, as you say, want to get, oh, I have a great story here, I'll get onto the front page of the Irish Times. What's wrong with starting in your local community? I mean, 82% of people read their local paper before they open a national paper. So, if you're selling to people in your area, they're going to be reading the Donegal Democrat or whatever it is on a weekly basis. So, try the local papers first and try and get your message out there first before you start trying the national newspapers.
Yeah, and local. Is there a difference between contacting, say, a newspaper to a radio station, Tara?
Yeah, I suppose there is, because with the radio station, you have to be comfortable basically to get on and talk. If you want to be interviewed, if you're a very, very shy person and that would be the worst thing you could think of, well, then don't. But local radio stations, unfortunately, because of the way they are, and they're small and they're not funded by the state, they tend to be very, very commercially based. So they're constantly looking for ads or sponsorship or whatever. So it is a little bit more difficult to get in there.
But hopefully it's a case that if you do get into the papers, that maybe
you might notice the story. Yeah, a lot of the time the radio stations they read the newspaper, so they're going, oh look, that looks interesting, I'll ring that person. And you can be lucky, right place, right time, and they spot your story and they might just contact you directly.
Brilliant. Tara,
just one more.
Great, another one.
Oh, sorry, 2 more. Is there a cost for a press release, and how many words should a press release be, and how many photos?
Okay. Yeah, well, if you're going to contact a professional PR person, yeah, they are going to charge you. It depends on where you go. I mean, I don't charge the earth because I work from home. I don't have the overheads that a lot of the big agencies would have. I did work in the big agencies for about 15 years, but yeah, there would be a cost. But I think especially at this time, people are mindful that, people are going through difficulties. So, if you wanted to contact me afterwards, I could have a chat. In terms of press release, no, it's how long is a piece of string. It depends on what your product is. I tend to write maybe a page or 2 pages, but it really depends on what I'm talking about. If it's a product, maybe a page. If it's a story or a conference or a merger or something like that, maybe 2 pages. But yeah, there is no hard and fast rules about how long it is. You just wouldn't waffle on for 5 or 6 pages, because that definitely would not be read.
You've another one there, Esther?
No, that was both.
Oh, that was both of them.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. And actually, because just before we finish up, because the reason that I asked Tara to come on was because I got to know her 6 months ago.
Yeah, about that.
7 months ago. Yeah, about that. When I contacted Tara about some getting press release out there. And one aspect of it was picked up by the journal.ie. And as a result of that, then I have had 2 or 3 more articles appear in the journal.ie, and I have been on a few different radio stations then speaking about it. And all of these things, they actually start to build up momentum. So where, yes, at that point, you know, even like myself, I was saying, you know, okay, I need to invest some money in it. And I didn't know how the outcome was going to be, but it has a knock-on effect, and it does build up. So from working with you, then my brand then starts to slowly build up. And you know, I mean, I was interviewing somebody in Galway, a station in Galway. I'm up here in Donegal, and it was because we read your article in the journal.ie.
That's the way it happens. And you know, people say to me, it's not brain surgery. Yeah, it's not brain surgery. I did study for 4 years, but anyway, it's all about, you know, me being able to get the story out of the person and package it in the right way, and then having the contacts. I mean, I have databases of features editors, sports editors, business editors. I mean, if you have time to spend all day looking them up, then great. Also, a lot of these people would recognize my name coming through, so that also helps as well when they're getting 200 or 300 emails a day. So yeah.
Well, Tara, absolutely brilliant. Loads of information there. This stays on our Facebook page, so people can watch back, and it will actually then, hopefully by the end of the month, I'm a bit slow when it comes to the YouTube channel, but it does actually get loaded up to our YouTube channel then. And if anybody, even on replay, has questions, pop them in, and we will get them answered for you. Tara, thank you so much. And to those who popped in questions, thank you for participating in today's live chat. Apart from my phone going off, I think we actually got it running really well.
I managed it, and I'm a technophobe. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you everyone for being there. Yeah, and we shall see you all on Tuesday. Bye.
Bye.